Today, I want to share a thought with you that everyone experiences at some point in their lives. We all start off being sociable, enjoying the company of others, but gradually, we often become more solitary. Now, it might seem like sociability and solitude are contradictory, but they aren't necessarily opposites. When we're young, we naturally seek out social interactions. We want to connect with friends, build relationships, and experience life in all its circles. It's a phase of exploration, so we embrace gatherings and social events. But as we age, especially when we reach middle age and beyond, we tend to become more selective about who we spend our time with. The idea of constant socializing loses its appeal, and we begin to value solitude. When we're young, we enjoy inviting friends over to eat, chat, and laugh at home. It's a free environment, unlike the constraints of a restaurant. This home setting strengthens friendships and deepens our connections. We used to believe that sincerity between friends was a beautiful thing, but as time passes, we realize that such genuine connections are increasingly rare. In a world where insincerity can often become the norm, it's only natural for our perceptions of friendship to change. The saying goes, those who approach red become red, those who approach ink become black. In other words, our social environment shapes us. Over time, we start to prefer a quieter life. We no longer want unexpected visitors and have little expectation from others. Friendships and relationships can feel superficial and, quite frankly, exhausting. Take Mr. Lee, for example, who is now in his 50s. He has grown accustomed to enjoying solitude. When he wants to stay at home, he does. When he feels like going out for some exercise, he goes out. If friends visit, they usually meet at a restaurant rather than at home. A relative once asked him, "You used to be so warm and welcoming. How have you become so indifferent?" Mr. Lee explained that lifestyle changes with age. Having seen and experienced so much, his mindset is now different. He prefers a simple, quiet life, enjoying a cup of tea, tending to his garden, or spending time with family. As we grow older, we realize that the friends who frequently came and went in our younger years were not always true friends. Rather than keeping up with polite, but often shallow, interactions, many elderly people find joy in solitude. They follow their own rhythm, appreciating the peace that comes with a simpler life. In old age, even visiting others' homes becomes less appealing. Here's why: in our younger years, visiting friends and family was often a source of joy. We would eagerly call on each other's homes, bringing gifts, sharing meals, and spending hours in conversation. It felt like an extension of our own lives, where every visit was an opportunity to bond and strengthen our connections. But as we grow older, the dynamics of visiting others begin to change. What was once seen as a casual, friendly gesture can gradually become a source of discomfort, both for the visitors and those being visited. Take, for instance, the idea of visiting someone's home. While it may seem like a simple act, it can often be an intrusion, especially as we age. Every family has its own rhythm, daily routines, and boundaries. When we were young, these boundaries felt more flexible. We didn't hesitate to invite people over or drop by someone else's home unannounced. However, with age comes a deeper understanding of the complexities within each household. An elderly friend or relative might have their own set schedule, health concerns, or simply a desire for quiet. Our well-meaning visit can inadvertently disrupt their peace and cause stress. Moreover, an invitation to visit might not always reflect the true feelings of everyone involved. For example, Uncle Ma's experience illustrates this perfectly. After a chance encounter with an old classmate, Uncle Ma was invited over for drinks. To him, this was a genuine expression of friendship, and he took it as a green light to continue visiting regularly. He would bring food and drinks to share, relishing the opportunity to reconnect. However, he soon discovered that his classmate's wife did not share the same enthusiasm. Her facial expressions made it clear that she wasn't comfortable with these frequent visits, but Uncle Ma, being a straightforward man, didn't pick up on these subtle signs. It wasn't until his friend finally spoke up, mentioning that the wife and children were feeling disturbed, that he realized his frequent presence was more of an imposition than a welcome reunion. This incident made him understand that not all invitations are genuine. Sometimes, they are simply extended out of politeness, leaving the invitee unaware of the potential strain it might place on the host. Even in situations where a visit is sincerely welcomed, there can still be feelings of intrusion. Many elderly people value their routines and the comfort of their personal space. When someone visits, it disrupts this routine, however briefly, and can sometimes create a sense of anxiety. There is the pressure of entertaining, the effort of tidying up, and the unspoken expectation to be hospitable. While we might not think much of these things when we're younger, they become increasingly significant as we age. What used to be a casual get-together starts feeling like an obligation, one that comes with a fair share of stress. We become more protective of our space, not out of a lack of warmth, but simply because we cherish the peace and predictability of our daily lives. Then there is the issue of frequent visits causing trouble. When we reach a certain age, time begins to move differently. We might find ourselves with more free time, and the days can start to feel long and monotonous. It's only natural, then, to seek out companionship among neighbors or friends, to fill those empty hours with conversation and laughter. At first glance, this seems harmless, even beneficial. Having someone to chat with, to share stories or play a game, can bring joy and make the days feel richer. However, frequent visits can quickly lead to unintended complications. For instance, when elderly friends gather regularly, conversations can easily drift into areas that are better left untouched. Miss Wong from upstairs experienced this firsthand. She enjoyed visiting with her neighbors, taking turns meeting at each other's homes, especially when the weather was bad. It seemed like a wonderful way to pass the time, drinking tea, talking about life, and sharing experiences. However, during one of these visits, the conversation turned to family matters, and Miss Wong casually mentioned her daughter-in-law's lack of involvement in household chores. She didn't think much of it at the time, it was just an offhand comment among friends. But somehow, this remark made its way back to her daughter-in-law, creating tension within her family. Her son was upset, accusing her of gossiping and causing unnecessary drama. What was meant to be a harmless chat among friends had suddenly turned into a source of conflict and stress. This incident taught Miss Wong that visiting too often and speaking too freely could lead to misunderstandings and disputes. Now, she prefers to spend her time quietly at home, keeping interactions with others light and superficial. It's a lesson that many elderly people come to learn. Sometimes, maintaining a respectful distance and choosing words carefully is the key to preserving peace in relationships. Another element that can complicate visits is the difference in economic conditions among friends or neighbors. In our younger years, we might not pay much attention to the financial disparities between households. We were all busy building our lives, focused on our careers, raising children, and managing daily responsibilities. However, as we grow older and our lives become more settled, these differences can become more apparent. Some families may be better off, having accumulated wealth or enjoying a comfortable retirement. Others might struggle, living on a fixed income, finding it challenging to make ends meet. When families with different financial backgrounds interact too closely, it can sometimes create an uncomfortable dynamic. For example, if a wealthier friend invites you over and you see their lifestyle, perhaps they have a spacious home, high-end furniture, and the latest gadgets, it can stir feelings of inadequacy or jealousy, even if these emotions are not intentional. On the other hand, the wealthier individual might, consciously or unconsciously, display a sense of superiority, making remarks or showcasing their lifestyle in a way that emphasizes the financial gap. This creates a psychological imbalance where the less wealthy friend feels uncomfortable and begins to resent the interactions. Even the elderly, who we often think of as being above such concerns, are not immune to these feelings. After all, the desire for a better life and the habit of comparing ourselves to others is deeply ingrained in human nature. In many cases, it is not about wanting to compete, but simply about feeling left behind. Visits, then, can become a silent stage for these unspoken comparisons, which, over time, add a mental burden on both sides. Instead of fostering genuine connection, these visits can inadvertently drive a wedge between friends. This is why many prefer to live their lives quietly, choosing to avoid visiting others or inviting others into their own homes. By maintaining this distance, they protect their peace of mind and avoid the stress of comparison, allowing them to focus on their own lives without the influence of outside judgments. The choice to limit visits, to decline invitations, and to embrace solitude is not a sign of indifference, but rather an acknowledgement of the complexities that come with social interactions as we age. It is a conscious decision to preserve peace, both in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. Nowadays, we can see this shift during festive times. People used to visit each other for New Year's greetings, but now, many prefer staying at home, resting, or simply browsing their phones. It's not that people have lost interest in traditional celebrations, it's just that life has become more exhausting, and genuine emotional connections are harder to find. Many now prefer solitude over constant social interaction. When we were younger, we might have thought that solitude meant having no friends, something to be embarrassed about. But as we age, we realize that living well for ourselves is the true mark of success. While our warmth for family remains, our interactions with outsiders become more selective. Of course, in old age, some contact with family and close friends is inevitable. However, it's often best to meet in neutral places, like a restaurant or park, rather than at home. This helps lighten both the physical and emotional burdens that come with hosting guests, making it a win-win situation for everyone. So, learn to embrace solitude, especially as you grow older. In life, the people around us may come and go. Being comfortable with solitude helps us face the future with confidence. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe and share. Here, you'll never feel alone.